Welcome, everyone, to Fantasy Basketball Trends. My name is Braxton, and this is the show where I give my thoughts on some guys that I like and some guys that I don't like over the last week. So the guys that I mentioned can be streamers, trade targets, or just guys to pick up and hold, while the guys I'm not liking can range anywhere from outright drops to somebody you need to keep a close eye on. Really excited about this list I got for you this week. I think there's some good ones on here. First is going to be Moussa Diabate. I've been talking about him all season. I talked about him in week one, talked to him about him a little bit last week. I still don't think there's enough discussion around him. All the talk has been on Ryan Kalkbrenner, and justifiably so, right? But Moussa is also really showing out from that backup center spot. He has been flirting with a double-double on a nightly basis, 10.5 points, 8 boards, and then 1.3 blocks, and he does not turn the ball over, right? Under 1 turnover per game. He's even shown the ability to get some steals at 0.7 on the season. And the points look pretty good. That was something I was a little bit concerned about. Was he going to be able to score the ball? He is. Charlotte seems more than content to split the minutes almost down the middle between him and Kalkbrenner. Seems like it's skewing a little bit towards Kalkbrenner a little bit, but on some nights, if Moussa is playing well, he has been playing next to Kalkbrenner in some lineups, and sometimes will creep a little bit closer to 24-25, depending on just kind of the flow of the game, right? He's only 22% rostered, which is too low in Yahoo leagues. And even in playing 20 minutes, he's shown that he's a per-minute monster, catching lobs from, LaMelo and being one of the best rebounders in the game. I continue to say that. I think he's one of the best offensive rebounders in the game, and I think he's one of the best rebounders, period, especially for a guy his size. I think it's super impressive. He often has multi-block games. The free throw isn't amazing, but the 70% from the line is fine. It's passable, especially from a center who has the skill set that he does. I do like him over guys like Jakob Poeltl, for example. We talked a little bit about Poeltl last week, and I brought up Moussa as a specific example of someone who, just has a nicer floor than him with less injury risk, and even some bigger names. He's putting up similar stat lines to somebody like Rudy Gobert in almost half the minutes that Rudy's playing. I'm not saying trade him for Rudy, right? But he's like a discount version of him, right? So if you're able to move Rudy for someone that is, maybe helps you somewhere else, and you can grab Moussa off the wire, you're not losing a ton of production there. So it's something to consider as well. I really like Moussa. He's must roster in 10-team leagues just because of the blocks, and the center production is so hard to find. And if when Kalkbrenner ever misses time, Moussa can step in and take advantage like we saw the other night. I really like him as both a redraft pickup and also a dynasty target because I think him and Kalkbrenner are the future of the center position for Charlotte. They've both been so awesome, and I just am so excited about them. So next, I want to talk about, and I apologize, I didn't have Moussa up on the screen there for you, but next I want to talk about Dominic Barlow, who started the first 2 games, but he got injured in the second one. And apparently a pretty nasty laceration because that cost him about 2 weeks. In that first full game back, he played 29 minutes, 10 points. He had 10 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 blocks. Even off the bench, he saw more playing time than Trendon Watford, who started in his last game. And he has the potential, I think, to have a really nice season. They clearly are excited about him. He played, first off, him starting those first 2 games was just a huge surprise to me. And Oubre is banged up now too. We haven't seen what the lineup looks like without Oubre in it. He got hurt in the last game. Oubre has been playing 35 minutes per game and soaking up a ton of usage. So if that injury kind of lingers, and some of that usage can and probably will go to Dominic Barlow. And then also if Embiid continues to miss games, there's really some big man stat potential here too. Barlow can rack up some blocks. We saw that last year in Atlanta, his ability to put up some nice stat lines with the minutes. In leagues shallower than 16 teams, he's probably available everywhere. He's rostered in only 3% of Yahoo leagues. A little bit too low, I think, and I think it's just because he's flying under the radar because of that long-term injury. So, yeah, like I said, if Embiid continues to miss time, Barlow has the potential to put up some really nice stat lines. This Philly lineup is still shifting, even, if they were fully healthy, right? That fourth starter, this is before Oubre and before Embiid, or excuse me, fifth starter before Oubre and before Embiid went down, has been kind of up in the air, right? Barlow, Watford, I think Justin Edwards started a couple games as well. And I really like Trendon Watford. I've talked a lot about Trendon Watford, but I wonder if maybe he's a better fit off the bench just because his ability to create and pass the ball, whereas Barlow is more so like a defensive, low usage type starter, someone who doesn't necessarily need the ball in their hands a ton to make a huge impact. And I'm really liking Barlow both now and moving forward. I think in Dynasty Leagues too, I think he's somebody to watch out for. Can grab him pretty cheap, and if he strings a few nice games together, he's probably going to be a pretty hot name. So definitely keep an eye on him moving forward. Next is going to be Jamal Shead. Definitely not a runs the waiver wire guy. But if you need assists, Jamal Shead is the guy, right? He's having a really nice year as the backup point guard in Toronto, averaging about 5 assists per game. He is not doing much else. 6.5 points, not many rebounds, and the steals aren't great, only 0.7. But he's not turning the ball over, and this is purely an elite assist stream in redraft. So if you're desperate for assists, or maybe you drafted Chris Paul at the end of your draft hoping for assists, Shed is basically doing what you were going to hope Chris Paul was going to do. Just straight up assists. Could even be a grab and hold guy in some formats. If assists matter that much, you're a little bit too weak in assists for your liking in your build. Big pop potential though, if Quickly or Scotty Barnes misses a game, because he's going to have the ball in his hands more. He is making over 1 3-pointer per game, so he does contribute there a little bit as well. And he's shooting 43% from the deep, which is from deep, which is awesome. He's not going to score much, but he is taking advantage of the shots he does get. He is ranked outside the top 200 right now, but this is one of those situations, and I talk about this every week, and I'm going to talk about it more this week, where his impact is outweighing his 9-cat ranking because the assists are just so hard to find on the wire. He's basically a much cheaper version in Dynasty Leagues of Isaiah Collier, who, and honestly, Shed might be the better real-life player. Collier is not, he doesn't shoot or make threes. He's just straight up assists, whereas Shed is more of a positive player on the court in real life, as well as he'll knock down some threes, doesn't really turn the ball over the way Collier does, and I think has the potential to have a really nice, longer career than Collier does. A great dynasty floor guy, someone you can plug in when you need assists, and should be super cheap to grab unless his owner is keyed in as well. So, but definitely keep your eye on Jamal Shed in both redraft and dynasty leagues. And yeah, he's firmly in that elite streamer category, which are just my favorite kind of guys to talk about. So, next, and I'm not calling him a pickup. Okay, I want to be clear about this, but definitely keep an eye on him. It's going to be Kyle Kuzma. He did have a terrible game his last outing, just 1 point and 1 rebound in 20 minutes. He was in foul trouble, but that is about as bad as it's going to get. The game before Charlotte, the game before versus Charlotte, I know they played two against Charlotte in a row, but he scored 29, 10, 5 with 4 steals and a block, and that was the game with Giannis. The game before without Giannis was a little bit worse than that, but he's very involved in the offense when he's rolling. Something that's surprising to me is he's shooting 51% from the field, which is pretty unexpected. He's averaging 13 points, 4 rebounds, almost 2 assists, and the turnovers are actually down from where they were in Washington. Obviously, he doesn't have the ball in his hands as much. He's only making under 1 3 per game. If that ticks up to maybe 1.5, 1.6, 1.7, he could become an actual pickup. It's a pretty nice stream right now, though. Definitely a ceiling play. He has a higher ceiling, I think, than most guys in that 25% rostered range. He's at 27% right now on Yahoo Leagues. And on nights that Giannis misses, he's got big scoring potential. Probably only second to Ryan Rollins. Rollins has been playing a ton of role, a huge role. I've lamented, maybe not lamented, but I've just gushed about Ryan Rollins all season and how awesome I think he is, and how Kevin Porter Jr. is not going to have a starting spot when he gets healthy again. So Kuzma has, I think Rollins has kind of taken what we were hoping Kuzma was going to get if you're a Kuzma owner. Miles Turner's been not great as well. I was expecting more out of Miles Turner as well. Yeah, the free throw percentage is way up at 78% for Kuzma, way better than last year's 63%. And we did see when he got moved to Milwaukee, he was a lot more efficient, less harmful overall, with or at the expense of some of the assists and the scoring that you were hoping to get out of Kuzma if you were an owner. But yeah, he's not a must-add by any means. Not even necessarily a pickup, but definitely a watch list guy for me. Dynasty owners probably I would feel pretty good. His value was very low during the offseason, and the negativity about his potential outlook was about as high as it gets. But Kuzma is very involved in this offense, especially now with Taurean Prince having that neck injury, going to be out for the foreseeable future. They do need Kuzma to step up and take maybe some of the shot. Not that Taurean Prince was a huge, super high usage guy, but the role he played was really significant for Milwaukee. So Kuzma is going to be involved every night. Speaking of the Milwaukee Bucks, though, AJ Green is my next one. If you need threes, this is your guy. He's firmly in that Isaiah Joe, Sam Merrill tier of, he's not going to do much besides hit threes, but if that's what you need, he's perfect. He's a shoe-in for 2 or 3 threes per game. As I mentioned, Milwaukee really needs scoring really badly outside of Giannis. The floor has been really nice on AJ Green as well. Ryan Rollins cannot do everything. As I mentioned, Miles Turner's underwhelming. AJ Green and Kuzma have been kind of picking up the slack a little bit. He's not going to give you much else, but again, if you need threes, this is going to be one of the most reliable guys available. I believe it's 7% owned in Yahoo leagues. I mean, that's probably fair, but most teams can use more threes. Again, he's in that pretty elite streamer territory and can be a pick up and hold. Same for guys that like Merrill and Joe, if that's what you need from the guard spot. If you really need some threes, AJ Green any given night can make 5 threes, right? He's not going to turn the ball over. He's not going to hurt you anywhere, but he's not going to do much besides sink some threes. Maybe, he'll still grab a steal here and there. And the scoring has been really nice, but just definitely a watch list guy. If you grabbed him for free in Dynasty, congrats. I mean, he looks pretty nice. Not really much trade value for him, but just an awesome floor guy, and I love talking about floor guys. So, okay, trending down. This one is a little bit interesting, but it's going to be the entirety of the Indiana Pacers. I'm trending down pretty much on the entire Pacers core right now from a fantasy perspective. The main guys I'm specifically worried about long-term this season are guys like Siakam, Nembhard, and McConnell, just kind of the last men standing. The Pacers continue to be really, really bad, and it's starting to show in their fantasy output. Siakam was really, really nice to start the season. It's not going down a ton, but I think we're starting to see him get a little bit tired. He's currently ranked 94th, which is obviously just inside the top 100 in 9 category leagues. The counting stats are still solid, but the free throw has been weirdly low for him. The 25 points per game, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. It just, to me, and this is just an eyeball test kind of thing, and just a hunch that I have, his production is starting to trail off a little bit. We have seen the boards come down a little bit, the points just ticking down slightly over the last 2 weeks, and then the assists as well. He is playing huge amount of minutes. We have seen him get rested. I expect the Pacers to be increasingly cautious with him as the season goes on, given their record. This is a lost season for them. He's by no means, unrosterable. Siakam is still putting up huge numbers in the games that he's still playing. But just that I'm sensing, him starting to slip a little bit, and the minutes load is a legitimate concern for me. TJ McConnell as well is starting slow, coming back from his injury. His age, his current injury that he's recovering from in the Pacers' direction makes me a little bit more worried about his availability and consistency as we continue throughout the season. I know a lot of people have really high hopes for him this year. I don't know if he's going to get there. I think we needed the Pacers to be a play-in team for McConnell to return pretty solid value. and I just don't. They're not going to get there. Andrew Nemhard is another one where he's been banged up multiple times this season, kind of recovering from an injury last season as well. He's already missed some time this year. He looks good when he plays, but this could easily be a last man standing situation rather than sustainable long-term value. Right, so could be someone to cash in on in dynasty leagues. Although I think people kind of know what the situation is in Indiana. Same goes for Siakam. Siakam redraft, I would definitely be looking to move these guys, but again, I don't think you're going to be able to pull one over your league mates. I think we all kind of see what's happening here, but definitely someone to kind of consider shopping. Someone a trade I saw go down in one of my redraft leagues that I thought was really nice for the Siakam owner was he got swapped for Jalen Williams to a owner that really needed the production now, somebody who's struggling coming out of the gate. And you can swap for somebody like that who you're kind of trading that immediate production for someone who might have more late season value. Although I think Jalen Williams, they're going to be cautious with Jalen Williams as well. But that's something to consider as well, is just kind of cashing in on that in that way. Right. So, you also got guys like Benedict Mathurin, Obi Toppin, Aaron Nesmith, could eventually return and take back some of that usage and opportunities currently being absorbed by Siakam and Nemhard, right? So, and then, so next I want to talk about Jusuf Nurkic. I know people are he's kind of trending up as a pickup right now. When you look at the stat lines at first glance, they're pretty exciting, right? You see the assists, you see the minutes high, the steals have been pretty awesome, but and I know I talk about impact versus 9-category ranking. He's ranked 194 on this season, but his negatives are so negative. The field goal percentage, the free throw percentage, the turnovers are just unbelievably bad. If we take a look at the last 2 weeks, this is post Walker Kessler injury. The field goal percentage is at 34% for a big man and 57% from the line for Nurkic. And this is on decent volume. He's taking almost 8 shots per game, 3 free throws per game, and he's averaging almost 3 turnovers. This is really bad. The scoring is not there. He's only scoring 7 points per game. The boards are there, the assists are there, and he's stealing the ball. But his negatives, I think, outweigh the positives from Nurkic. So I think this is definitely a potential sell high on Nurkic. Obviously, in dynasty leagues, you're looking to sell Nurkic right now, right? Because the long-term value isn't there. But in redraft leagues too, if someone in your league is looking at those stat lines and being like, "Whoa, these are pretty nice stat lines." He's a 5x5 threat on any given night. The negative, Nurkic is really hurting you in 9-category leagues, and is someone that I would really consider selling if you can get someone with a nicer floor and maybe a more rock solid late season outlook. And again, this is not. I don't think you'll be able to pull one over on your league mates, right? The Jazz are bad, and there is concern already for the older players on this team to be resting on this season. But I think before Filipowski starts to take a larger and larger role as the season goes on, I think this could be the opportune time to cash in on Nurkic before the minutes start going down. Not that I think Nurkic is going to be phased out by any means, but the minutes have been pretty high over the last 2 weeks at 27 minutes per game. It's possible they move him at some point. He's got a nice salary matching contract. He's 18 million. He's expiring. So it's possible he gets moved. If he gets moved, the worst case scenario for his value. But I think this is one of those where it's like, yo, look at these stat lines. These stat lines are crazy. And then that's when you maybe your league mate is like, oh, I need these steals so badly, or I want these out of position assists. But Nurkic is someone who I think is really just mostly a negative to your team. So. And lastly, we're going to talk about Jonathan Kuminga. I think some people got tricked early in the season with Kuminga having some really nice stat lines, but he is once again the player that we knew and we thought he was. If you've been following what I've been saying about him, at least, I think he sucks from a fantasy perspective. The percentages are way back down from where they were early in the season. He's back to where we thought he was. He's 40% from the field, 64% from the free throw line. And the thing is, he just does nothing for you from a fantasy perspective. He's not even scoring the ball right now. And if he doesn't, if he doesn't score, it's, literally nothing. He's not making any threes. The rebounds are okay at 6, right? But The assists are at 2, 0.2 steals, 0.3 blocks over the last 2 weeks. 3 turnovers per game is just so bad, and it is so unbelievably harmful. Kuminga, I think, is a drop in just about any format, unless you're in like some kind of 20-team redraft league. I much rather would take someone who can make threes, I guess, or steal the ball or get assists or just not be so outwardly negative in every single category. I mean, he's bringing literally nothing. If he's scoring and rebounding the ball, you need him to be efficient or you want him to be making threes, and he's not doing that, and I don't think it's going to come back. Will Richard and Moses Moody have looked good. Those two are going to be starting for Golden State moving forward. Kuminga has not looked good, and we know Steve Kerr doesn't like Kuminga. It's not going to be this bad all season, but this is kind of. I guess I hope you sold. I talked a little bit about him in one of the podcasts earlier this year about massive sell high, and I will say I do think he kind of got me a little bit, right? I think I was like, oh, maybe this is kind of turning the corner for Kuminga, but no, he's crashed back down to earth. He looks awful, and it's just a net negative in every aspect. In fantasy leagues, he's rostered in 38% of Yahoo leagues. That's just purely on name value. I would continue to look to sell him in dynasty leagues. Maybe wait for a couple big games before you look at it on his name value, just because people think he's a better asset or just a nicer fantasy asset than he actually is. I think he's terrible. I don't think he's going to help you. And if he's a big part of your squad, I don't think that's a winning squad. So, but yeah, that's going to do it, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Good luck on the next week moving forward. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you disagree with the Kuminga thing? I'd love to hear why, right? I'll catch you next time. Thanks, guys.